Watkins, Glen, New York for tonight's round 6 of the 2021 Season 1 Flux Motorsport American GTE Sports Car Championship. This is Carlin Hicks with you here in the broadcast booth. I am joined by One Shoe. How's it going tonight, One Shoe?
Great, Carlin. Glad to be here in beautiful New York, one of my favorite tracks, Watkins, Glen.
A classic, absolute classic American racetrack. Watkins Glen was the home of the United States Formula One Grand Prix for 20 years, from 1961 through 1980. The Armco barriers at this place enacted a terrible toll on the F1 drivers, in fact, including Francois Sever, among others. But it is a classic American racing course. It's fast and a little bit tighter than it seems. It is an open track and it is a quick track, but it gets narrower when you're among a group of cars, particularly through the bus stop there. We will talk a little more about the bus stop and how it came to be later in the race, and talk about J.D. McDuffie and Tommy Kendall and those guys. I got a few stories about this place, but we are running the full circuit here in the Grand Am GTE cars. They will be running the short course the rest of the weekend on the American Tour and the Indy cars and the stock cars. But here on the 3.37 mile full length course, you run what's known as the boot, which is what they're coming through right now, as you're on board with the Ford stalwart Ty Joe. It comes over from Europe to race in the American GTEs. But with the long version, the boot here, you have a few more trouble spots. It's a significantly I'd say tighter through that section. There's one more big danger spot is coming out on this turn right here, back onto the main course, the short course. Car gets a little light right there. But this place, one of my favorite tracks. It's a mainstay of the American Tour schedule. One of my favorite all-time wins was in an Indy car here in the rain, and I've also had disastrous races here where I couldn't keep up with the pace car. One Shoe, I know you have a lot of memories of running in this place, and I imagine, like me, you're just looking forward, glad that we're back here and under the Flux banner for it.
Yeah, this track, initially when we started to come here, I just detested coming to the road course because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the rhythm, the flow, and the overall beauty of it. And certainly, as always, yourself and many of our other drivers, we get a lot of help in the sim racing world. If you've got somebody who's willing to admit that they could use a little help and has some patience, it's incredible how much my skill set has improved from the fact that take a place that I didn't really care for, get some help. And I think I remember that race that you won in the rain, and I think that was the same race that I had my highest IndyCar finish at too, in the rain, which was really weird.
Now, I believe you were on the podium. Yeah, you were third maybe? Or were you the second place car? You were on the podium in that race, I do remember.
I thought I was back a little farther than that, and I remember Rita, because we were getting down to like the last 2 laps, and I hit a big water puddle, and the car went sideways right in front of her, and to hear her exclaim over the comms as to how excited she was that I almost ended her race for her.
Oh, it's a place. We're not dealing with the rain here, obviously, this week, but there's a trouble spot right down there on the backstretch for the Grand Prix circuit here. It's right after you come back out of the boot, and it's you can get a big puddle there, but we've got nothing but clear spring skies here, light cloud throughout the race. That's almost ideal racing conditions. The track might be a little cool, but definitely not cold, so this is going to be probably ideal conditions for these cars to work their way around here. As always, the GTE Championship is primarily the Chevy Corvettes versus the Ford GTs versus the Ferraris. I don't believe there are any BMWs or Astons in the field. There may be a Porsche. Deadly Hawk has been the Porsche mainstay for much of the season.
I think I saw 2 Porsches. I think Ride Dog.
Ride Dog as well, yeah. Ride Dog and Deadly Hawk are both riding in the Porsches. Porsches, the general consensus is that they're better in GT3 configuration, but we've seen them put a few good drives in. Deadly Hawk took that thing from the back of the grid back at Sonoma, I believe, and drove it up to 6th. So you can definitely get something out of it. And Watkins Glen here is just a unique course. Let's get on board with Cat Guy, our current points leader, and we'll talk about him a little more. And I'll walk you through a lap here on the Grand Prix circuit as you come out of the final turn here down the short front stretch. Now turn 1 is a hard, just about 90-degree right-hander. You got to get off the throttle, hard on the brakes right here, and you got to get below without hitting that curb too much like that. That's exactly what you don't want to do if you make contact with that curb. And we lost our looks like we're gonna have to wait for our reconnaissance lap until we get into the race there, One Shoe, because most of the time guys do that in qualifying. But that's a perfect example of that. You got to get low there, but you cannot get on that inside curve because it will shoot the car around. You're using the little bit of banking, and I'd say it's banking, but the elevation in that turn that forms a natural banking, you're using it to get the bite to get you through that corner. And it's the same thing right there in the carousel. You want to get down on the inside. You want that front right tire to dig and let the rear left slide through the carousel. But if you get too far to the inside, it'll come right around on you. And with Armco all the way around this place, you could easily bang this thing up.
Yeah, I don't think that, where in the last couple of races we were having a lot of concerns with cars running into each other. I would bet the majority of the damage will come from cars hitting the barriers here. And if we can get through the first corner on the first lap, from there on, it'll be next really exciting place will be up through the S's.
Oh, absolutely. There's get the passing zones here. I'd say, the carousel coming out of the S's, you can make a pass. There's the uniqueness about it, however, is that it's how the cars are going to change and how they have them set up. Because when you come through the S's here, as Dale's going to be here momentarily, as the front tires wear and these cars develop a push, the car gets light right here, and you lose a lot of speed because you can't be as flat out as you wanted to through that section. And that right there is the key. The cars, there might be a few cars that come out here that are quick in qualifying, but they don't have it dialed in to do that over a race run. And you're going to see, I know from my own practice for the stock cars, you're going to see those lap times drop significantly, once that bite is gone in those front tires. There's just no, you're not going to be able to get through the S's and through the carousel with as much aggression as you could on fresh tires or in qualifying trim. And of course, there's always the strategy here. This place is an abrasive track on the tires, and it has to do with the cornering loads here, the elevation changes, the speed especially, because you're running a pretty fast lap here, doing 3.5 miles in a minute 38 here in the GTE cars. I think that tire wear makes this interesting. Can they make it all the way on fuel for the 45 minutes? And even if they can, is anyone going to try that? We've seen pit strategies and full-length strategies work in various sports car series here at Flux this season, both on the American and European Tour side. And I think that that's going to be the key here. Is there anybody who has a setup? I'm looking for that guy who's running mid-pack, who stays out, and we're going to suddenly realize this guy's he gave up half a second or a second of lap speed on the track in order to, stay out and stretch it. That's what I'm interested to see if anybody will do that, but it's tough to tell. Here's Harry. He was a winner here on the American Tour in the stock cars earlier this season at Willow Springs. We should give a rundown here through our points table to our viewers. And it is a classic points battle as of right now. OGR Cat Guy is in the points lead by 1 over Lecky in that number 3 Corvette. Cat Guy is in that position without winning a race. He's been on the podium, I believe, all 4 rounds that have been run. This is round 6, but we had round 4 canceled due to the server issue. He's been on the podium all 4 rounds. Lecky, meanwhile, second in points, just 1 point behind Cat Guy. He has 2 wins on the season at Willow Springs and then last week at Road America. He's come over here on the American Tour and been terrific in that Mist Engineering Corvette so far this season. And as we said, just 1 point back. CDN Trooper from north of the border up there in Canada has quietly been just one of the most consistent drivers all season. He is just 13 points behind, running in 3rd place. And he's been on the podium a couple times this season, but he's been consistently finishing races. And if he can find that little bit extra here in the last 3 rounds, he is still very much in championship contention. 4th place, we've got Super Crusher. He's 33 points off your points leader. Super Crusher is been running that Parasperic number 28 Corvette as he gets a little loose right there. Super Crusher 4th in points based on a consistent finishing record, but I think once you he's been inconsistent as to where he's finishing. We've seen him be on the podium. We've seen him in the pits 3 and 4 times for repairs at certain tracks. So I think the question is, what Super Crusher do we get here today and over these last 3 rounds? Because if we get the good Super Crusher, I think he's still a championship contender.
And he's one of those two that even if he runs into a little trouble, goes in, fixes the car, gets back out, and finishes the laps.
And that is why he's in 4th place. He's had a couple of really good drives and a couple of not really good drives, but he's scored decent points even in the days that weren't so kind to him. Rounding out the top 5, 39 points back, is Harry in the Ferrari, coming over from the UK. As we said, we've seen him in a number of races here on the American Tour. Harry, a driver who I look to be a contender in this race. He's been quick throughout practice. As you can see right now, he's currently 2nd on the qualifying chart with 7.5 minutes to go. Running that Ferrari, I think the question is, what does the Ferrari give you at this particular track? Because if it gives him enough to stay in there, he's had a couple races this season where I thought he was on his way to a win or the podium for sure, and got caught up in somebody else's accident, or at Willow Springs he had trouble coming out of turn 9. So I think that Harry's definitely a contender. And at 5th place back, just 39 points back, he would need a little help to get back in the championship, but certainly still in the chase for the podium. 6th in points at this point in the season is Jiggly Jello, running in the number 67 Ford GT. Crew chief over here is being very excited about tonight's race. Jiggly, another guy who has been unerringly consistent this season. He gets that car to the finish, and at 40 points back, he's very much within striking distance to move up at least a couple positions in the points here today. And depending on what happens in front of him, none of these guys are too far back to make a run at it. Ty Joe sitting in 7th in another Ford car. The 2nd placed Ford car sitting 7th in points, 44 points back. Taijo, another car, you know he's got speed in that car. And like right now, sitting 5th on the chart here at Watkins Glen. Another guy that I think that we've seen him get, I remember one race he got caught up in an incident in front of him, and that definitely hurt his prospects, but I believe that he can put together the run here, and I look for him to be a contender here tonight. Eighth place in the points is McToasty, running in the number 27 Caparel Corvette. McToasty has not made all the races, but if he had, he'd be a lot higher up than 8th. He's been very competitive this season, has been on the podium. Just an excellent all-around driver, particularly in sports cars, and we've even seen him in the Indy cars here on the American Tour side. Sitting there in 8th, he's 46 points back, but still very much the 13-point gap between him and the 4th place car, Super Crusher. So as you can see, anybody here in the middle of the field we could see a wild swing here this week. Ninth place in the points is Green Gaming in that Ford. He has had his ups and downs this season, but getting to the finish has secured him 53 points. And once again, at 47 points back, he's in ninth, but just 14 points behind the fourth place car. So he could easily jump into the top 5 with a good performance here tonight. And excuse me, and rounding out the top 10, where we'll leave our rundown, is Luke Snipes. 56 points in arrears running in that Ferrari, which is looking a little bit worse for wear here through qualifying. So his Ferrari crew is going to be quite busy during the interval before the start of the race here this afternoon. That rounds out our top 10 in points. Other drivers coming down: Deadly Hawk, O'Brien, who got the win at Sonoma and is back in the field here tonight. Muttley, Nick and Khan, who's not here. Pogo Mojo, who is not racing tonight, and CMCF, who is in the field at the moment. He's back in the shotgun portion of the field. Let me pull up the stream here so I can follow some of our viewers. Multitasking here in the broadcast booth. You see where the points lay with 3 races to go. Once you give us your assessment. What do you think it'll play out, and who's your pick? Who do you think's going to take it home, knowing that Cat Guy is out in the final round?
Yeah, and I know that we all know what Cat Guy's going to do. He's going to go out. His goal to try to wrap up his championship is that 2 things has to happen. He has to go out and win these next 2 races, and then some bad luck has to befall Lecky and CD and Trooper, and even, I mean, realistically, even all the way back to Super Crusher and probably Harry. I think the top 5 are close enough, with some misfortunes of others, to see, those top 5 change a couple of times here before we get to the end of the championship. And I suspect too that Cat Guy is going to be, lamenting not being able to be for the last race, especially if it winds up, if he comes out of the next race and he's only got a 10-point lead, which is very possible, or could even be less than 10 points with the way Lecky's been running too. Then he winds up now, praying for something less than perfect to happen to Lecky in a way to try to hang on to this championship, this inaugural GTE championship.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a CMC goes into the pit wall there and puts a number of things on the track. They're going to have some track cleanup there. Immortality is correct. Cat Guy knows this track very well. Been running on these in the multiple American series for many years. I think that looking towards the finish, that middle glut of drivers from 4th through 10th is what really is fascinating me, because we know what the front's going to be. It's going to be the front 3 guys desperately trying to finish ahead of each other. Cat Guy can still win the championship if they have some bad luck and he can really maximize his points. But what really interests me is that middle group, because we were talking about the guys like Jiggly Jello, Super Crusher, that they've been up and down depending on the track. They've had their good days and bad days, but they've been able to maximize, where they're at in the standings, because they've been finishing races, fixing the car, stealing as many points as they can. One of those 2, I would say, with the laps they've been finishing, I think they're the guys that can jump up onto the podium by the end of the season, because I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen the guys who you get halfway through a season, you're going into the back half of the season, the guys who may or may not have been getting much airtime in that first half but have been finishing races, and you look at the stats as we're doing our homework here and you go, this guy was 6th, 7th again, nothing great, but he's not bottoming out. His bad days are mid-pack.
I would give all the pocket change I got for a bad day for me to be a 6th place finish.
Yeah, you start noticing the guys who the bad days are mid pack or better,
Yeah.
and they're still managing to get up there. And those are the guys who you look at and say, this last half of the season, I've been doing this long enough. I've seen that stuff pay off. It pays off, you know, racing that way. And I would expect to see good things come to those guys. So those are my dark horse choices to move up would be those guys. But as they're wrapping up qualifying here, it looks like Dale the Whale currently sitting up, and there's a handful of cars still on the track with an opportunity to move up here in the qualifying order, I should say. We'll see who's got something for them. Yeah, it can be a tough track to Jack's right on that in our comments. It can be a tough track to pass on. If you're familiar with the place, though, you know where to line them up. And I hope we didn't just lose Green Gaiman, or he might not have got back in time. But let's give you our starting order for tonight's Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 1, Round 6 of the GTE Championship at Watkins, Glen. On the pole in the Corvette will be Dale the Whale with a terrific 138.480, picks up a bonus point there. Starting second in the Ferrari from the UK is Harry W, looking for a good race out of him. Starting third, your Sonoma winner, O'Brien 79 from the US in the Corvette. Solid qualifying run for him. Outside of him on row 2, starting fourth, will be CDN Trooper, the guy we talked about, third in points, also in a vet. Starting fifth will be your points leader, Cat Guy, in the Corvette. Sixth will be Taijo in his black Ford. Seventh is Super Crusher in the Chevy. Eighth, McToasty, also a Chevy. Ninth, Deadly Hawk in the Porsche. 10th, Jiggly Jello in his Ford. Starting 11th will be Muttley in the Ford GT. 12th is CMC in a Vet, I believe. 13th is Lecky, also in his Corvette. He did not have the qualifying he was looking for, and he's starting a bit behind his championship competitors there. Starting 14th will be Luke Snipes in the Ferrari. He roughed up that car a bit in qualifying. And 15th on the field, Green Gaming, all in the Ford GT, and shotgun on the field in the final Porsche is Rydog. And we are set to go. Let's hope Green Gaming, I wonder if that's just a, yeah, he got in there just fine. No problem.
All right, Carlin, so I got to ask you, where would you prefer to pass at? I know the two places where I like to pass at on this track, if opportunity. Where's your two favorite places to pass, or where is your one favorite place to pass?
The two spots I'd like to line people up on, and I was way more successful at it in Indy cars than in any other car, because you can dial in the wing to minimize the aero push. But either coming up through the S's onto the back straight, when you're coming out of those S's onto the back straight, or coming through the carousel. You can go wide in the carousel and literally pull an oval style crossover on the guy in front of you if you have the tire grip. Now it probably has to be in the first half of your run so that you have the tire grip to pull it off. But one of those two spots was always my favorite place to do it. Places you don't want to do it. You don't want to try it in the bus stop. That's not going to work. You can pass in turn one, but only if you're willing to be very slow coming out of it. It can be very difficult to make that stick. So I'm imagining we're going to see some contact there. But really, coming out of the S's and coming out of the carousel are your two best places to make a move. Yourself?
Mm-hmm. If depending on who the person is, and after you drive long enough with these guys, you know who you can trust and who you can't trust. I always like to try to squeeze. I'm a firm believer in the S's. That's definitely one of my favorites. I do like the carousel, and there was a time period where we didn't actually run through the bus stop or the inner loop. So that was another one of those things that we could set people up a little better going into the carousel.
Oh yeah. All right, here we go. Dale the Whale and Harry taking us down to the green, and we are green at Watkins Glen for round 6 of the American GTE Championship, Flux Motorsport. Harry gets the hole shot down on the inside. Dale slots in behind him, O'Brien third, and CDN Trooper coming up into fourth. We'll see if everybody comes through. This is the tough part of the S's. You're going to get some aero push, some dirty air. It can definitely get on you here. But Harry took the second starting spot on the inside, managed to get what we would call the hole shot. First time through the bus stop. Now this is where cars can get light if they catch too much of that curve, especially if they're on a relatively full fuel tank. But everybody got through there very cleanly.
They all did amazing through that first turn too.
Yeah, they did an excellent job, as Jack Davies is saying on the comments. High downforce here. Yeah, despite the speed of this place, the corners are so abrupt. It's like Road America. It can trick you into not believing you need downforce because of the speed. Oh, somebody went way off there. It looks like Super Crusher. No, it's Taijo. Taijo going off in the final turn. And he finally got it going. CMC is among that. Ride Dog and Muttley, they look like they've fallen back real bad. Ride Dog has severe damage on that car. Taijo, I can't quite tell just yet, but the way that car is driving tells me something's wrong with it. Ride Dog definitely has some damage. And Muttley's banged up pretty bad. Wow, I didn't catch that on the feed, but a bad enough one up front. Meanwhile, O'Brien and Dale have got by Harry, moving into 1-2 now. As they sort it out here in the early going, we've got Dale the Whale running 1, O'Brien running 2, Harry in 3rd, CDN Trooper in 4th, and Super Crusher settling in 5th as Taijo comes in, Ride Dog comes in, and I'm going to bet Muttley will come in here as well for repairs. Yeah, not sure if that was...
Ford looked really tore up.
Yeah, Harry might have got to slow down, something along those lines, but now he can gather it back up. We did say we figured that the SMS-appointed track marshal would be very strict here at this track compared to some places, and I would not be the least bit surprised to start seeing some red indicators light up on the drivers' names here, telling us that they've got timing penalties. We'll try to keep you abreast of that here. I think once you can pull up those timings once in a while, if we do see them, and we'll see who's got what. But as of right now, everybody still seems to be relatively okay, settling in here in the top 5. The top 12, in fact, are still within 10 seconds. Dale the Whale, the pole sitter, settling back in. We got Corvettes 1-2, Ferrari 3rd. Guys up front settling in nice. How about we take a look at, Super Crusher back there in 5th. He's got Cat Guy coming up on his tail as 4, 5, and 6 are running right top of each other. Those 2 yellow Corvettes are CDN and Cat Guy sandwiching Super Crusher. Cat Guy right now just letting this unfold in front of him, I believe. And there you got Deadly Hawk, and that Porsche's moved up into 7th place through all of this, and he's stalking them, looking just behind this group of Corvettes. Got 2 wide back there. CMC is back in the pits again. I believe he's got some more damage. Is that Lecky and Luke? Somebody was 2 wide through the bus stop. They're racing hard back there. Yeah, that's our friends Lecky and Jiggly Jello racing for 9th. Lecky already moved up from 13th up through 10th here in the first few laps from his starting point. As we said, 2nd in the points with 2 wins on the season. You know he can move up, but you don't want to lose too much ground here, one shoe.
Yeah, and it's once you get behind here a little bit, then you start pushing and you kind of forget what's going on. And we just had somebody else there that just looked like they looped around, coming out of the heel of the boot.
I think this is a critical point of the race, One Shoe, because I've raced with enough guys who, if they don't have enough, sorry about that, if they don't have enough sim racing experience, that you've run 3 or 4 laps, the car does not feel like it did in practice. You know, it's a new room in essence, a new track in essence for the race. You've got a heavy fuel load, you've got tires that need to, you know, equalize, pressurize, and all that. And some guys will come out and run a little off in those first few laps, and they start panicking. They start pressing harder, thinking this thing's not what I thought I had. I gotta start pushing hard. And I think the best bet here is, you know, wait until you've put 5, 6, 7 laps on the car, see how it feels. Then you can start thinking about, you know, do I need to short pit? Do I need to do something to get a new set of tires on this car or something? But I think that's what happens a lot to guys, is they come out, they're not running as sharp as they were in practice when everything was, you know, less pressure and somewhat ideal conditions, and they start pressing and the mistakes start coming at that point. But as you can see, Lecky and Jiggly Jello, they are just going tooth and nail. And for Lecky trying to catch up to the front runners here, that's not, like we said, that's not what he needs. He does not want to keep losing ground to the guys he's racing in the championship. And he is pushing hard right there. They're about going up to Cat Guy in 5th place, staying right there in 5th, but maintaining that 5 to 6 second gap. He's running laps that are on pace with the leader.
Yeah, sometimes that red mist gets in your face, and you start to think that you know, you forget it's a 45-minute race and you just barely got started. You kind of worn the new off of them good years, and you're out there in full tanks, more than likely full tanks. And yeah, the car's a little evil right now, and if you're not keeping up with where you're at mentally, it certainly winds up getting you in. And then the next thing you know, you got others out there that aren't running the same pace that you are, and you're trying to figure out not only how you're going to catch up to the guys that you up to where you want to be, and how you're going to do that safely without taking yourself out trying to get around somebody who's a little slower.
Oh yeah, it's definitely something where the mental aspect of it comes into play here. You've got to, you know, Cat Guy right now knows he can run with the leaders. He knows that there's a clock ticking for how long he can stay back here and get up to them. But at the same time, racking the car up's not going to do you any good. Now, I used to preach to drivers something I used to call we used to call a car having pockets, and you might remember this conversation, One Shoe, but I'd say a car has pockets in it. And what I mean by that is, take one of these, we're looking at Cat Guy in his Corvette. You've got 200 pounds probably of fuel, probably a little more in a sports car. We'll say 250 pounds of fuel in the back of that car. Now, as that fuel burns off, the car gets lighter. That makes the car faster because the car's lighter. But at the same time that that's happening, that weight coming off the back is changing the balance of the car towards the front, and you're also wearing the tires out. So there's points in a run where, imagine 2 meters that are filled up, 2 meters filled up to green, and you've got the fuel burn and the tire burn, and as they go down, as long as they're equalized, you're going to get faster because as long as the fuel burn, as we got one of the I believe that's Ride Dog in the Porsches around. Yeah, Ride Dog around in the Porsche does a good job getting out of the way. But as I was saying, As long as the fuel burn outstrips the tire wear, you're going to get faster. But when the tire wear outstrips the fuel burn off, it's going to slow you down. And some cars, especially our stock cars, some of these heavier sports cars, it goes through changes during the run. You'll hit a pocket where for 5 laps, the car's a rocket. And then for the next 5 laps, the tire wear is a little advanced on the fuel burn where the weight is off, and the car slows down on you. Suddenly you're a couple tenths slower than you were, and you're wondering what the deal is. Is that Deadly Hawk getting into the fence there, I believe?
Yeah, Deadly Hawk came off of that corner. Car took a hard left hand right into the barrier.
Whew.
Yeah, damage here on the left front corner.
Speaking of which, let me pull up my Watkins Glen track map. Get ready to we'll give our leader some airtime and do our track walk here momentarily as soon as I pull my, having some loading issues with the phone here. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Pockets. There are just little pockets of battles going on all along here. Just some really some great driving going on right now.
Yeah, 6th through 9th right there that you're looking at. CD and Trooper out in front of it. There's McToasty in 7th. He's got Deadly Hawk right behind him in that Porsche with Jiggly Jello kind of just hanging out back there, waiting to see what happens. Any one of those guys, as you can see, they're still very much in this race. 14 seconds is not too far back. But they are definitely holding their own. And really, it's one of those situations where all 4 of them are thinking the same thing. All 4 of them are thinking, I could get away from these guys if I could just, I could outrun these guys and get away from them and catch the ones in front of me if I could just get away from this group that's slowing me up.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's thinking that, but at the meantime, they're being very patient and waiting it out. All right, let me take a look at my map here. On the heel, where are they at now on the track here, coming up through the S's? We'll get Dale the Whale when he comes out on board. Dale the Whale, your pole sitter and leader here, working lap 8. They got a bit of a gap on 3rd place. Super Crusher and Cat Guy now back 5 seconds. Harry, unfortunately, there's fallen all the way back to 5th, but still running competitive lap times. He's far from done. But we'll give you the lap walk here when we get back to the start-finish line on Dale the Whale. As they're coming through the boot now, O'Brien right there with him. I believe that's a lapped car behind him. Super Crusher 4 seconds back, Cat Guy 5, Harry still in it, then a gap back to 6. But as we said, any one of those cars still very much in it. Now at the 32-minute mark, looks like Luke Snipes is hitting the pits in that Ferrari. I'm wondering if he's banged up or not. But Dale the Whale coming. There he goes down through the final turn. Turn 10 there. We'll get on board with him coming out of the last turn, give you a walk of Dale the Whale's Corvette on lap 9. Our pole sitter and leader comes out of the last turn 11. And it's down that
turn is so satisfying too.
Yeah, if you hit it, yeah, here he goes down into turn 1 now. As we said, turn 1 very sharp, probably a little more than 90 degrees. You want to get down to the inside, but not all the way onto that rumble strip. Now you want to ride the rumble strip high right here. Now it's coming through the S's. We'll see how his car's working by how much he feathers the throttle here. And he appears to be on it. He's going right up through those S's, keeping the car to the right, letting it wash out now to the left-hand side. Probably make his last shift right there. Now here's the bus stop. You want to get off the throttle, tap the brakes. You're not going to be getting back on the throttle till right there. And now you come through the carousel, which is the outer loop, loop 5. Go inside the chute here into the boot, into what's known as turn 6. Downhill right here, car gets a little light out of that turn. Now you're down into the toe, turn 7. Another satisfying turn, but one that tries to push you out right there. You got to get your, got to get back on the brakes or get up back on the throttle very gingerly as you come down to the heel in turn 8. This is one that can throw you wide, as you can see right there. Dale getting a little squirrely with it, and that might even give O'Brien a chance at a pass as they come down to turn 9. That very sharp, that's the one where the car gets exceptionally light. You can see O'Brien filling up his rear view screen there. As you come through turn 10, left-hander wants to push you out back into the final turn 11 to the inside as much as you can without hitting the curb. Don't go too wide, and that is a lap at Watkins Glen, the Grand Prix circuit, as O'Brien all over Dale the Whale as we are just past the 15-minute in mark, 30 minutes remaining here in round 6 at Watkins Glen. Cat Guy, meanwhile, moving up into 3rd place. He's since passed Super to get back into a podium position, and every position he gets ahead of CDN, Trooper, Lecky, Super Crusher really puts Cat Guy in a fine position, as he is now running race laps right with the leaders at about 6 seconds behind them. So he's definitely coming back into it. Let's take a look at one of those mid battles real quick, as Harry and CDN are nose to tail. Harry in that Ferrari, CDN right behind him. That's McToasty coming up in the rear, and even Deadly Hawk 5 through 8 right there, very, very close to each other. As Harry started on the outside pole, led the early laps. He one of our viewers believes he got a slowdown penalty coming through the bus stop, and that has seen him drop back a bit. Now working 5th place, 15 seconds off the lead. Look like that front end's taking a little bit of a banging there to you, One Shoe. Yeah, I see a little bit of separation in those panels in the front left. Now that doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to imagine that's enough to hurt the car on right-handers.
Yeah, probably getting a little air between that, getting on the tire as opposed to on the spoiler there. Not getting all the downforce you want on that left front.
We got one car out of the race. I'm not sure who it was that we've seen gone, but we're down to 15 on the track, so we've seen our first bit of attrition here today. But once again, these guys stuck right on top of each other. Let's see what kind of lap times they're running as they come back. 1:43's not bad, but not quite with the pace of the front runners, at least on that lap. But as you can see on your timing chart there going down through the field, these guys are all running relatively close to each other in terms of lap times. We're not seeing a gigantic gap in the field for the most part. Very, very close here in the Flux American Sports Car Championship in the GTEs.
When I look at the kind of like the top 12 times here, I mean, the biggest gap that I'm seeing between those lap times is about 4 seconds, and that's for the size of this track and how technical it is. I think that's very impressive.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the overall best laps are, but you're looking at Ty Joe's in the 42s, Green Game and Lecky, Jiggly Jello 42s, 43s. Those guys in the fronts are hitting 42s and 41s, but they're very much in the same ballpark at least. And you also got to remember the race changes the farther back you are. More traffic, slower traffic, and you're not going to run as fast when you're running in 7th as you will when you're running in 2nd or 3rd and have a little bit better track and a quicker school of fish around you, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, since we're about the midway point here, I'm just going to pop up so we can just kind of take a look here at some of the best lap times. 140, certainly 246. That looks like
easily our fastest lap time.
Definitely, yep.
That was a good time, I think. One Shoe, you got your message from FluxMotorsport.com for our viewers.
You know, we always like to, we certainly welcome all the eMotorsports and sim racers out there that are watching us. And for those of you that are not already part of the community, and if you want to be part of the action, then we encourage you to come join the Flux community. And how you do this is you go to www.fluxmotorsport.com, sign up, join us on the Discord. We get your evaluation drive, pick one of the 7 championship series that we've got, and you too can be featured on Flux TV. While you're on the Discord, you have opportunities to participate in community-based races, get setups, an amazing amount of support and help, and then donate, if you please. Browse the marketplace for your Flux swag, because winning is pointless if you don't look good while you're doing it. Discounts and offers available through Fanatec and ACELIT through our affiliate links. Join us here at Flux Motorsports, the home of clean sim racing and e-motorsports.
Well done and well said. Meanwhile, these three not separating. Up front, O'Brien has taken the lead on Dale. I'm guessing Dale, he had a 144.5 on that last lap, while O'Brien hit a 142.1, so I'm guessing that that's a little bobble there by Dale. And O'Brien, our Sonoma winner, has shot up to the lead here on lap 13, so a bit of a surprise there. We missed that as we were watching the middle of the field. Dale now 1 second back and chasing O'Brien. We know he's got the speed, but that distance, losing a second and a half.
And there we go. All of that, and all of that was gone. O'Brien coming out of the
bus stop
there. Yep, looks like the rear brakes locked up a little bit on him.
Yeah, that's exactly. And Dale's right back on him. The time that Dale lost looked to me almost like a slowdown penalty, but we thought we would see some of those, and we definitely have, as these two right on top of each other. And the more, a cat guy, meanwhile, is back there saying, keep it up, boys, because he can get himself right back into this. Same thing with Super Crusher. I don't think he's out of it by any means yet. We need to start seeing Deadly Hawk, meanwhile, pitting here around the halfway point in the Porsche. I think that we're going to start seeing if guys got a strategy, because if they're going to come in and make a pit stop, you're going to see it around the halfway point more than likely. Unless somebody's got a splash and go strategy towards the end. But these guys might just decide that they might have put the hard compound tires on there and decided that they're going to run it out. And if that's the case, you better save something on here.
Yeah, if you'd have done that calculations, if we figure we're at the halfway point, 14 laps in, yeah, if you're counting your numbers, looking at your amount of tire wear, and knowing too that there's, we just saw O'Brien essentially lock up the rear tires coming out of see what he does this time coming out of the bus stop, and that adds a little unnecessary wear to those tires also that could be used later, like maybe in the last 2 laps.
Absolutely. I would say that if I was locking up my rear tires, and we got some debris on the track there, that O'Brien does make contact with. Hopefully, that looks like a wing from a 4G, or a valence from a 4GT. So let's hope that didn't do anything to his car, as Dale looks like he's trying to make the move now.
Inside, boy.
As they've got there, and that's a Ferrari hood is what that was. And I believe, who is that puttering along back there?
Is that Luke?
And I think that's got to be Luke Snipes, yeah. Unfortunately, he's making his way back around.
Had some really tough luck there. The damage looked very severe.
Yeah, he's going to definitely spend some time in the pit lane. Harry, as we can see back there, he's in the middle of that battle with McToasty and CDN, but has fallen all the way back to 7th, so he's continued to have some bad luck. I got to think that Harry's car's banged up a little, because his lap times have fallen off a little bit sharply. He's lost a couple seconds from what he was running earlier, and as you can see, it doesn't look like much, but I'm willing to bet you it's just enough on a track like this where you got to be so aggressive. I think it's just enough to where it's messing up his timing. He's still trying to track McToasty. McToasty up on CDN in the battle for 5th place. Getting the prestige of that top 5, always important as we're zeroing in on 20 minutes to go. I do believe, as you said, if we were at 14 laps at halfway, I think these cars definitely have enough fuel to make it the full distance. The question is, how good are their tires? Can they keep the tires on them? That's the $1,000,000 question. Meanwhile, Jiggly Jello, he is hitting the pits as his Luke Snipes getting repairs. Jiggly, I think, probably just, well, it looks like a 157 on that last lap. He might be fixing some damage. No, the car looks okay. Just deciding he wants a new set of Michelins on that Ford. But we've still got a dogfight up front as O'Brien and Cat Guy are right on top of each other. Dale the Whale right on O'Brien's tail right now. As, once again, I'm having problems here with that controller. Sorry, guys. Controller keeps firing off on me. Turned it off. All right, Dale's he's looking to make the pass. And O'Brien's looking to take as much of the track away from him as possible, but as they come down into turn one, Dale's got the outside. O'Brien's got a preferred position if he can avoid hitting that inside curb. You hit that inside curb and off you're going to go yourself. So Luke is getting...
So O'Brien lock up those tires again a little bit too, going in hard into that corner, late braking.
Like I was going to say, I think that I would be more concerned if I was locking up my front tires, because these tend to wear... You know, you're going to tend to get tighter and get more understeer as the fronts wear out. So maybe if you're going to have lockup, having it on the rear keeps you from cooking those fronts even more. But if you have lockup on the rear, you got to worry about looping that thing. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, have they burned off that much fuel that it's made the rear that light? That's compounding that too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's... As Dale gets by him again there.
It looks like O'Brien just kind of let him get by there. Maybe he knew or seeing that whatever he was feeling in the car, felt that in this instance, maybe cool off for a lap or two, save what he's got left, and then immediately Dale overdrives the corner.
Yeah, Dale goes wide right there through turn 8, I believe, and going through the heel. It's one of the great things about the Project Cars tire model that I think it's one of those things that the guys who race 5-lap public sprints, and that's all they do, never really get to appreciate, is that very realistically, you can heat up the tires in this game pretty bad, and if you ease off for a lap or two, they'll cool off. They'll come back just like a real tire will. It's a little more pronounced, I guess, in accelerated tire wear like we use here for the sports cars in Flux, but you'll definitely feel it. And I think I doubt O'Brien wanted to give that spot up initially, but realizing that it wasn't worth the hassle of defending it, not to mention, like you said, he knows that, let me cool off the tires, wait a lap. You know, we got 17 minutes left. You know, we got plenty of time. There he goes, gets a little loose coming out of there. That bus stop has been his Achilles heel, One Shoe. You called it.
Yeah, and it's not like the car looks great everywhere else. But the thing about it is, sometimes when you've got somebody that's pushing you that hard, and there are just certain places on the track where you don't have that comfort level. You do 10,000 laps at one track, and you're trying to get that one perfect lap out of those 10,000. And there's always some place where maybe you're thinking 2 or 3 times about, is this where I want to be? Is this my turn in? Is this my braking point? And, you know, in this case, for whatever reason, that seems to be the one area, and then Dale immediately goes out and flat sides the right side of his car.
Yeah, he's pushing hard, and quietly right here, One Shoe, look at Cat Guy and Super Crusher. Both of them have slowly moved in. They're running laps in the 42s. O'Brien and Dale are slowing down as they're racing each other hard. Cat Guy's cut that lead in half, down to about 3 seconds from a 6-second gap. Super Crusher was about 11 seconds, 12 seconds. He started to slightly cut into it, and he still has time, if he can put it together, to get up there towards the podium spot. And while these guys are racing, Cat Guy and Super Crusher are steadily moving in. Dale, with a brave move, trying to get to the outside before the bus stop, thinks better of it there. He's trying to find the spot And I think he knows that out of the bus stop is where he can get O'Brien. But O'Brien took it well that time. O'Brien also has the benefit of knowing this car, that's my weakest spot, but he knows it and can, you know, start trying to adjust to it. Trying to see a pattern here, I'm not sure if I'm noticing. Tell me if I'm not, but Dale is gaining through all the right-handers.
Oh.
And through the left-handers, O'Brien's been equal or a little better. I'm not sure if I'm seeing that pattern. As I say that, they went left, and here comes Dale close again. But that being said, it's just, you know, there's a lot of, it's starting to almost look that way. Neither one of them has any damage, so to speak of. So I think we're just talking about chassis balance at this point, really, more than anything. But as they're talking, or as they're fighting, here comes the field moving up. We got another car out. I'm not sure who, but we're down to 14 on the track now out of the 16 starters.
The cat guy's just very.
I believe that was Luke.
He's kind of knocking the gap down. These two guys are beating on each other like they owe each other money.
Yep. As there goes Dale the Whale taking the lead again. O'Brien settles in behind him, and Cat Guy just stalking back there. Now he's inside of 3 seconds. Super Crusher's not been able to move up, although he is running very, very quick laps. And here comes O'Brien to the inside.
And he made it work off of the bus stop that time.
Yeah, made it work that time. So he's got that car back under him. Like we said, pockets. I think maybe his balance is back. The car's getting lighter. If you have the car set up in such a way that maybe you were looser early, and now with the front tire wear, the car's balancing itself. I know that's the struggle I'm going through setting up my stock car for Sunday. I'm not going to have a fast car at the start of the race, but I want one that when the tires wear, it'll come into me, and that could be what these guys up front, the ones who run the quickest here, as you saw, Cat Guy just put up a 41.9 on these old tires. These guys are starting to, they might be getting the car that they want towards the end of the race.
Cat Guy's definitely reeling these two in. And you know, they're probably so focused on each other right now, they may not even be aware the Cat Guy's coming.
I'm sure there's been a glance, but you can't pay too much attention to it. And I know from personal experience that the dynamics change a lot when there's a third car in the picture, especially for that second car. If you're second in line, and we're down now down to 12 minutes, we're getting down towards the nitty gritty here. If you're second in line, you're more worried. If you're leading that line, you're almost like, let him catch us. If I'm in O'Brien's place, I'm like, let him catch us. As they O'Brien, and they make contact coming through the bus stop.
Oh.
Cat Guy goes through. It looks like O'Brien got loose coming through the bus stop. Dale was right on top of him, and those two just came together as they were trying to get back on top of it. I wonder if the question now is, have they sustained damage that's going to affect the car? Here comes O'Brien, gets it back and rolling, as does Dale. And that looks like the front end of O'Brien's Corvette is a little askew to me. I'm not sure. Let's see if we get another look at it. One shoe. But yeah, that front end is askew. Yeah. That is definitely, you can see that front end hanging off. That is going to slow that car down and make it very, very tough. Now let's see if O'Brien keeps it out these last 11 minutes.
Like he had some front end, very similar looking front end damage.
They were just having a classic battle.
And now, and Dale, it just like the car, he pounded the right side on that turn before, and that car went in and nosed right into the barrier on that left-hander coming back onto the main course.
Yeah, Dale's going to come in here. He's definitely, that's a shame. My opinion, obviously, I'm not the steward making the inquiry right now. It's a racing incident to me. You saw O'Brien get loose. Dale tried to shoot the gap. That was really all he could do. He didn't have time to slow down and let him catch it or do anything else, and they just came together. But O'Brien's trying to drive it out. We'll see what his next at speed lap is, but Dale definitely took the worst of that. That was a classic battle between those two as well, and that's going to definitely hurt. And OP Wop asking, this game worth it? And I will answer you with that question, Wop. This game is worth it if you're racing with Flux Motorsport. And that's the final answer to that question.
The level of competition here and the quality of and I just say how the drivers treat each other too.
Oh, they race hard on the track. Everybody, you race hard on the track between the lines, but off the track, guys are dedicated to making sure the field's competitive and that the product is good. And yeah, that was just tough to watch for Dale. Dale and Harry both have had a few to deal with. Dale's going to fix the car and come back out. But in the meantime, let's talk about who got the advantage there. Cat Guy slowly came up through the field. He had started in 5th place. He was as far back as running in 6th for most of the early part of the race, and just steadily started chopping him down. And then when O'Brien and Dale started getting into their battle, he had moved up to within 2 seconds. So as soon as that happened to them, he shot the gap. Now O'Brien, as we said, comes in or Cat Guy, I should say, comes in the points leader, but hasn't won a race. He's just been on 4 straight podiums, tasting somebody else's champagne. So I've won a championship without winning a race. You take the trophy, but you'd rather win at least one on the way to the championship. And so I'm sure that's what Cat Guy's thinking about with 8.5 minutes to go. But he's by no means in the clear. He's got 2 1/3 seconds on O'Brien, who doesn't appear to have too much damage. He's still running in the 43s. And
you hear Cat Guy working the throttle. He was really working the throttle there in the carousel, so he's likely, and he wasn't pushing his car that hard to get up to there. He got the advantage when those two guys came together. So see what his lap times start to look like also.
Yeah, exactly. And one other factor to keep here. O'Brien obviously didn't get as bad of that as Dale did because he's still running, and he's still running in the 43, so he's still running a pretty fast lap. The thing I asked, though, is that you can visibly see the damage on that car. That's got to have some aerodynamic effect. So my question here is maybe he is still that fast, and maybe he can catch Cat Guy, but that extra damage could make the dirty air, the aerodynamics, that much worse when you're trying to get by somebody. So he might be in a position where he can catch him, but it's going to be even harder to make the pass because you're not going to have the proper aero.
Yeah, O'Brien just a little faster on that lap.
Yeah, ran a 142.9, about a second on him there. I don't know. We could still wind up having a fantastic finish. These two guys have been racing each other a long time, going back through 3 sanctioning bodies. They know each other's tricks really, really well. And we have seen championships in this very class of cars, against each other, racing for the title, going into the final race. I've seen it. So these guys know each other. Right now, O'Brien's got, like Mortalis is saying here on our comments, O'Brien's got damage, but he's still muscling that car through, still running in the 42s. Super Crusher's up onto a podium position and gradually moving in. But right now, it's Cat Guy and O'Brien up near the front, fighting for that lead.
Yeah. Well, you can hear O'Brien when the car comes off of the corner, whatever's damaged, if it's the suspension or whatever the case may be, he's having to be very careful with getting power down because the car is trying to step out from under it.
Yeah, I would imagine with damage like that, like you said, it's air getting under the front end. That's pretty standard across. You'd rather have it all the way across rather than on just one side, so that at least it's kind of balanced. I would imagine he's got right there a bit of a pull because of the air on the left side of the car, but he runs 42.9 again, so he's still running laps that are as fast as anybody on the track. And slowly but, quietly here, Super Crusher's starting to catch him. I don't know that he has enough time with just over 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock, which gives us maybe 4 or 5 laps. But Super Crusher, as we talked about before the race, he's moved himself up in the points just by being steady and consistent. And tonight he's shown that again. He's now looking at another podium finish if he can hang on to where he's at.
Car looks clean too.
Yeah, car looks perfectly clean. He was very patient when he was stuck in traffic. He's going to be telling himself, if he can stay here, obviously, but he's going to be telling himself after the race, if only I had qualified 2 or 3 spots better. But he's made the most out of what he had, no doubt. Back and forth, they're still battling for that spot as McToasty in the Corvette, and he's got CDN Trooper right behind him. Those cars 4th and 5th. CDN, as we said, came in 3rd in points. He wants those positions because with Cat Guy out front, CDN has to get every last point he can to stay within striking distance of Cat Guy in the championship, and really isn't in a bad spot because knowing that Cat Guy doesn't have an entry for round 8 at Texas, the final race of the season, CDN might be thinking, I'm racing Lecky and I'm ahead of Lecky. But every position he can get right now would be vital. That's an extra couple of points, and he's definitely got a shot at moving up here as him and McToasty are going at it. 1-2. Speaking of Lecky, Harry's by himself back there in 6th. He's had himself a tough afternoon, but Lecky back there in 7th. Started back in 13th, did not have the qualifying that he was hoping to have, and got a little slowed up in the middle there. He got into some fighting around the 9th, 10th spot with Jiggly Jello, and has never really been up with the leaders here, as we see Dale behind him banging into the wall again after putting up a new fastest lap. Dale obviously came in and decided to top that fastest lap, a 39.8 last time by, so he's definitely going to steal that. He's definitely going to take that bonus here, I believe. Nobody else has a car that's going to do that at this point. But Lecky, came into this race needing to maximize what he could get. Really hasn't come to him the way that the 2 wins did. If he can stay here, and that's no guarantee because Dale's got a fresh car and moving up on him. This is going to push CDN Trooper closer to him. It'll push Cat Guy away from him a bit. So a bit of a tough round from what Lecky was hoping to see, especially as he goes around there coming out of the bus stop, falls back to 8th place. He could still maintain that spot in the championship, but he's going to have to get the car going. He's got a bit of a gap back to Green Gaming.
Makes me wonder if Dale was close enough there, just took a little air off of that rear wing.
And that's entirely possible. That's a good point. Well, meanwhile, Cat Guy's separated a bit of a gap. O'Brien now has Super Crusher on him. I'm guessing with a 147 on that last lap, O'Brien pushed a little too hard. And as you can see, with that front end just dangling off a little bit, you can see it moving up and down. I don't think he has the car. You have to give him kudos for stick-to-itiveness, but now he's got to defend that 2nd place position from Super Crusher here in the final minute and a half. But this is just going to make this championship really fascinating all the way down to Texas. Those of you, we'll remind you here, we've got more races coming this weekend here on the American Tour side. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. in the UK, the IndyCar Series is going to be here on the short course, the Flux IndyCar Championship. We're looking forward to that one. And on Sunday, at 8 p.m. Eastern, the Flux Stock Car Championship will also be here. Let me take a look at my my schedules. We've got the LMP2 Championship tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. That is at the Circuit of the Americas down here in the States. I'll see if I can get the old Flux corporate jet to fly me down to that one possibly and check it out live. And on Sunday at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, the GT3 Championship, which is not cooperating by loading its screen right now. and showing me the schedule. There we go. We'll be at Rapuna Park down in New Zealand, a classic circuit that does not get enough attention. So an excellent weekend of racing here at Flux Motorsport. As always, check us out at FluxMotorsport.com. Meanwhile, Cat Guy had a little bobble, and O'Brien has cut that lead in half as they're about to run out the clock here. We are just about to hit 0 as they're coming up through the S's. That means this is the white flag lap. Cat Guy in the lead, O'Brien in second, Super Crusher in third, and they are all within range of each other as they come through the bus stop for the final time. Cat Guy looking to get his first win of the season, and O'Brien's going to lose it there, coming through his tough spot in the bus stop. He's going to try to get it rolling and maintain the podium spot, but that's going to push Super Crusher up into second, which would be his best finishing position of the season, and he may not be done yet. As they come into the boot, Super Crusher trying to track down Cat Guy, who I believe is nursing that car. Not a spot on it, but he is probably, like all these guys, driving on cords, particularly on those front tires. It's now inside of a second. We are on the final lap in the GTE Championship at Watkins Glen. Cat Guy looking for that win. Super Crusher's hungry as well. They come out of the boot for the final time. Coming out of turn 9. This is where the car can get very, very light. Don't want to smack that wall.
Now, one more opportunity left.
Yeah, last chance here for Super Crusher, but a tremendous drive from both of these guys. They came from, I believe, 5th and 7th or 5th and 6th on the starting grid. Well, Super Crusher's got a shot. He's got a run on him, but it's not enough to get him. At the line, Cat Guy's going to hold him off narrowly. O'Brien's going to bring it home in third place. We got a battle to the line for fourth as McToasty's going to just hold off CDN Trooper. CDN Trooper with a solid drive himself. He brings that home in fifth place. We'll have to wait for the penalties to sort out as Harry crosses the line sixth. Bit of a disappointing day for him after qualifying on the front row. Dale the Whale had that excellent battle with O'Brien. He was the hard luck story of today's race, the pole sitter and fastest lap. But he's going to roll home here in seventh. Lecky needed as much as he could get tonight. He's bringing it home. We'll give the rundown here once we have our guys crossing the line and the scoring. I prefer not to have to correct myself afterwards as they bring it home. But Lecky moving it up from 13th on the starting grid. Would have liked to had more, but had a solid race altogether. Jiggly Jello's pit stop strategy did not work out for him, I don't think. But he finishes 49 seconds back, so you got to say he was quick. He might have had a shot if things worked out how he was hoping them to. Little man was excited about that finish. Deadly Hawk right there with that Porsche hanging on to that front end.
Bringing home what's left of the Porsche. Yep.
He had a good race going for most of the race as well. I got to give him credit there. All right, we're going to give you your final results here at the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 1 GTE Championship Round 6 at Watkins Glen, getting his first win of the season in his Corvette, and our points leader, OGR Cat Guy, with a terrific run in that number 3 Corvette, finishing second, his highest finish of the season, and I believe his second podium, also in the vet Super Crusher 08. Got to give him a nod. He had a fantastic run. O'Brien coming home in third. He qualified third, had that great battle with Dale, and nursed it over those last 10 minutes with that damage to end up on the podium. But I believe he's going to be wondering to himself what could be. I think my assessment there is that O'Brien was quick. I think he had just slightly too aggressive of a car, because that's something that when you're testing the car out, you'll realize that I'm getting real loose on old tires coming out of this bus stop, and I think that maybe he was just a tick aggressive, but the fact that he brought it home in third, fantastic run. Fourth place for McToasty puts us vets, as a matter of fact, all the way across the top 5 here at Watkins Glen. McToasty with a solid drive, getting himself up to 4th place, and CDN Trooper keeping himself in the championship chase as he brings it home in 5th. Harry W with the first of our tough luck drivers. Started on the front row. He had some problems early on. Winds up toughing it out, bringing that Ferrari home in 6th. Dale the Whale had the pole, fastest lap of the race. He's going to take the bonus points there, but he'll be wondering what could have been, as after him and O'Brien's contact coming out of the bus stop, he's going to bring it home in 7th place after pitting for repairs. Lecky brings it home in 8th place, going to lose some ground in the championship to both Cat Guy and CDN Trooper in his vet. 9th and 10th are our two highest finishing Fords, as Jiggly Jello brings his car home in 9th. I think he had a quick car and had a good run. I believe that the strategy didn't work out for him there. Didn't come back to him the way he was hoping. Green Gaiman, meanwhile, grinds that car home in 10th place. Beyond the top 10 now, we saw Deadly Hawk limp that Porsche home in 11th. CMC, another tough luck outing, comes home in 12th. Taijo brings home the Ford in 13th. Muttley, our final finisher, in his Ford in 14th out of our 16 starting drivers. Well, spectacular race. We saw just another thrilling GTE race. Once you got any final thoughts?
The next, and it doesn't get any easier from here going out. We're at Laguna Seca next week, and I suspect the guys that were good here are going to be good at Laguna Seca too. Can Cat Guy do what he needs to? Can Cat Guy go out and win at Laguna Seca and give himself every opportunity to win this championship without making it to the last race of the season?
That's definitely going to be the story. I think that in lieu of that, you saw CDN Trooper run 5th, Lecky run 8th. That's a difference in points that's going to pull him to within 5 or 6 of Lecky at this point. So if Cat Guy cannot build a bigger gap at Laguna Seca, then it looks like Lecky and CDN Trooper are our top 2 guys. But don't forget Super Crusher. He just gained ground on all of them here, with the exception of Cat Guy with that terrific 2nd place run. So it's very much still up for grabs here heading into those final 2 races. Well, we're going to wrap it up here at Watkins Glen in the GTE Championships. As we said, we will see you tomorrow, and the European Tour will be at the LMP2s, at Circuit of the Americas. And tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UK, we'll have the IndyCars right back here from Watkins Glen. So for my co-host One Shoe, this is Carlin Hicks signing off from Flux Motorsport TV. Thanks for joining us. We will see you tomorrow in Austin and back here in Watkins Glen. Have a good night, guys.